Hey everyone, I'm going to go over a bit of a clean technique, and this isn't going to be a long how-to video breaking down each segment of the clean from the ground all the way to the catch position. But I'm going to focus on a very simple yet often overlooked aspect of doing a clean, and that is how close the bar is to your body throughout the entire lift. And I do find this is often overlooked. However, it's a very simple thing to cue the athlete or coach the athlete on. A lot of times, strength coaches who coach athletes for other sports but utilize the clean and the snatch, they focus on the speed, the power, extension, which are all important parts of these lifts. However, those will be limited. The amount of weight you can do will be limited if you do not check a few boxes first. And I find a very important one is how close that bar is to the body throughout the entire pull. And this kind of came to light when O'Keefe sent me this video. This is during lockdown, and he didn't train for just over a month. And going back to doing some cleans, his bad habits kind of crept up again. And it kind of made me realize that being there in person and cueing him in person, how important that was and how effective it was when he was first learning the clean. So this is the clean that he sent me a couple weeks ago. And upon first look of it, it's pretty good. It's fast, it's explosive, catches with his elbows relatively high. But his bar path is all over the place. And I'm not a big bar path person where it needs to be like perfectly linear, but there are some things that need to happen for you to get the most out of this exercise. And the first thing I notice when he goes to start his clean is his back is a little bit rounded, and this will help keep the bar closer to the body when you squeeze your lats and your shoulders back. That will definitely help with keeping the bar closer. And then as he comes up, you can see his knees come back and how far away that bar is from his knees, and you'll be able to see the reverberation, the effect of this later on in the lift. So as he goes through, his extension is pretty good. It's not perfect, but I mean it's pretty good, and this is something that he will develop over time regardless. And then as he goes to turnover, this is where the issue comes back. So that bar is about a forearm length away from his stomach or chest, and this is where the issue will now come in, where when he tries to catch the bar in with a good front rack position or even in a bottom squat position, and it'll affect how much he'll be able to lift in the future. And to kind of reiterate the importance of keeping the bar close to the body, I have a few world-class weightlifters. The first one is Bodhi Santavi, I love his technique. He's very good at keeping the bar close, but especially with him, this video and the next one will show how important it is. So when he goes to start off the ground, you can see the bar right away comes forward off his shins a little bit, and then it's a little bit further away from his knees. And then when he goes to catch the bar, his center of gravity is a little bit now more forward. His heels are coming up, and then he has to try and walk it forward to save it. But ultimately, he misses the lift. Now, if we go to his next lift, which is heavier, it's 210 kilos, you can see how the bar doesn't come forward off his shins like it did in the other one. So now it's able to stay closer to his knees and thighs. And then when he goes to catch, see how close this bar is to his body as he's turning over and dropping underneath the bar. If we go back to look at O'Keefe, his is about a forearm length away, whereas Bodhi's looks like it's physically touching his chest. Okay, so again, these are world-class lifters, and I don't expect O'Keefe to have world-class technique, but this illustrates the importance of having good technique and how it'll drastically affect how much weight you can do and the effectiveness of this exercise. Then we have the GOAT, Ilya, who also does a great job, very similar to Bodhi in how close he keeps this bar. This is a world record attempt. The bar is very close to his knees and then thighs, and then as he turns over, you can see how close that bar is to his body, just like Bodhi. And then you have O'Keefe, where it's his forearm lengths away. A good close-up of this is Li Dayan. He's a Chinese weightlifter who are notorious for keeping their bar close to their body. you can see how the bar stays very, very close to his shins and his knees. And then right when it passes his knees, you can see it touching his knee sleeves and his singlet, and it kind of drags them up a little bit as he's going, and it stays on his thigh until extension. And then maybe as he drops down, it's actually not as close as Ilya and Bodhi, but it's still a lot closer than it was for O'Keefe. And when it comes to clean technique, I don't expect a lot of our athletes to have world-class technique. A lot of them play other sports, and that's where their performance matters. However, what we want to try and do is have as good of technique as we can so that the effectiveness of these exercises that we do is at its maximum. So if we have good technique, it'll increase the amount of weight that we are able to lift, which will increase the effectiveness of these exercises, and then it'll also decrease the risk of injury if you perform these exercises incorrectly. Okay, and a lot of the athletes that train with us, we do a lot of technical stuff before we allow them to increase the loads and the intensities of their lifts. And one of the first things that we do in order to promote proper technique, especially when it comes to keeping the bar close to the body, is something called a slow pull clean or a tempo clean. And I like to do this exercise for two reasons. One, like I just said, it reinforces them keeping the bar close to the body. But what it also does is it forces them to use lighter weights, which is very important for technique. And especially when we have a new athlete, whether they've done these exercises before or not, they're gung-ho and they want to lift the most amount of weight super fast, which is a good quality to have for an athlete. However, we need to harness that and make sure that that they have good technique and they're set up to get the maximum effectiveness out of these exercises, because we only have them for a limited time, whether it's only an hour a day or 5 hours a week or 4 hours a week or only for 3 months in an off season. We want to make sure that their time spent training is maximized and the risk of injury is as low as possible. So that's why we do these exercises to before we let them increase the load too much. And this is Greg Everett performing one of these slow pull cleans. I'm going to play this in real time so you can see exactly how slow it is. So usually like 3, 4, 5 seconds to the thigh, and then you get that, and then you're allowed to go hard, and you still get that explosiveness out of it. However, it'll limit the amount of weight you can do. And while they're doing the slow pull clean, they can think of, okay, I got to keep the back tight. I got to keep the back arched and tight, and then keep the bar close to the legs, close to the thighs, and then they go and everything else will follow after that. This is something that we actually gave O'Keefe at the beginning of his training when he first started doing cleans. And you can see this clean, which was heavier than the one he just sent me, is a lot better. The technique is a lot better. His catch position is a lot better. And if we put them side by side, a little more arch in his back, and this one is rounded. So this is, again, the one on the left is from the summer when we were there coaching him and giving him cues in person. And the one on the right is him doing this at home, where maybe he either forgets these cues or he it just doesn't have the motor pattern ingrained because he's took some time off. And so then we get to the knee. And you can see right here on the left, it's very close to the knee. And then on the right, how far away that is. So you can see in this position, the one on the left looks like it's a lot better because it is. And this is heavier weight. He's doing more reps and he's newer to the movement. And then the biggest thing I find is the most noticeable difference is in this position, the pull under. As they're dropping under, you can see how close that bar is to the body on the left. So on the left, we're setting O'Keefe up to clean some heavy weights, and he eventually did throughout the summer. And then unfortunate with the lockdown, and he's working with what he got, he's able to still do the movements, but You can see how maybe some cues, or like one of the things we focus on is just keeping the bar close to the body. That's really the only thing we had to tell him. And you can see how much better his technique was. So again, the reason why we focus on such a simple aspect is because we want to make these exercises as effective as possible while reducing the risk of injury. We only have them for a certain amount of time in a day, in a week, in an off season, and we want to make sure that they are as effective as possible. Doing the weightlifting movements is hugely important for sport performance, but you have to make sure that you do them right. And when people come into our facility, these are the kind of things that we focus on to make sure that those things happen. And if you're someone who does these at other gyms, whether you're coached or not, make sure that you simplify it and you just focus on this. There are other things that need to happen in a clean, definitely, but this is something that we simplify for, and will really impact how your clean is done, and it'll increase the effectiveness, increase the amount of weight you're able to do, and which will increase like your power development, your speed, your coordination, all the things that these movements are great for. And it'll decrease the risk of injury, which are the two most important things when we're dealing with athletes that do not compete in Olympic weightlifting. If you guys like this video, let me know. If you want me to do more like these, let me know. If you want me to break down another aspect of this lift, of a clean, or other exercises, the importance of them, why we do them, let me know. And I hope you like this episode. I hope you guys had a good day.